And we're live. Okay, welcome to the grand experiment that is the Cinemaholics live stream, also known as the Big Stream. Just starting out, so obviously people are going to be hopefully dropping in here. I don't know. Um, it's the plan is that things go much smoother than they did last time. And one of the little stop gaps I'm doing here to make the audio and everything sound fresh and good is unfortunately not be using cover software. So that is a big change. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, we did like a pilot of the big stream earlier this week to talk about the HBO Max news. And that didn't go super well because I used software that could not handle the audio correctly. And it wasn't until after the stream that I listened back and watched the video, and it is like impossible to listen to. So that was sad, but I learned quite a bit, and I'm working on improving my setup here. I know I'm in like this spare bedroom with like storage stuff and Christmas presents around here, and it's definitely not professional quality. I'll put it that way. But I'm still very excited to talk about all this Disney stuff, and hopefully the content is going to overshadow this setup. So, okay, so like last time, what I want to do here is actually not. I didn't do like any prep basically. I'm going to be reacting to this news like very like fresh. It's going to be like reading it for the first time. And I think that's more fun because it gives me a chance to like process in real time. You can listen and get a kind of a sense of like where I really am at with all of these things kind of off the cuff. Hopefully I'll have an informed opinion too, but that is the goal here. So let's get into this thing. Unfortunately, like I mentioned, I don't have the software that lets me screen share. So I'm going to have to sort of like go through this and tell you what I'm seeing. So hopefully that's okay with you. But okay, so we got some major news from Disney. They announced a lot of new stuff. I am sort of aware of a few things that they dropped just because of Twitter. I saw a few tweets go by, so I'm not like 100% unaware of what's been going on. But that said, I am kind of coming at this pretty fresh. I don't know a lot of the details. So, right, I'm going to start here on The Verge, theverge.com. They have an article out that says Disney Plus will add 50 new Marvel, Star Wars, Disney, and Pixar series and movies over the next few years. The company also plans to bring many Disney animation and Pixar movies and shows to the service. The big one out there that might turn a few heads is like Pixar series. We've actually known that there are some Pixar series in the works for a while now. I think the major one is the new Monsters Inc. series that they're going to do. And I'm personally very excited about that. Hope you are as well. But okay, yeah, this is a pretty ambitious announcement. And right off the bat, I think that it is kind of feeling like a reaction to HBO and Warner Media's big drop last week, which was that they were going to be doing same day theatrical streaming movies. And, I think the onus for this announcement for Disney is they're kind of they're in a situation where they need to chart and map out the future of their company now. And we knew this stuff was coming. We knew they were going to have a big to do about this entire like announcement that they did. But it is kind of like activating in the shadow of the coronavirus, of the theatrical system perhaps dying, and the optimism and kind of victory lap that Disney gets to enjoy right now with Disney Plus, which is absolutely a successful streaming service. There is no doubt about that whatsoever. Disney Plus has added something like 70 million subscribers in its first year, which is just unbelievable. I mean, the idea of any streaming service, be it music or any kind of content like movies, TV shows, for them to acquire that many people that fast is really astonishing. And you could, chalk it all up to the Disney brand is very strong, but okay, sure, that's true. But I do think you need good marketing. You do need a good product for things like this to catch on. And I think the things that really helped Disney Plus acquire so many new subscribers so quickly, it wasn't just the catalog. I think it was also the events that they shaped around some of their releases, the most notable probably being Hamilton. I think when Hamilton and The Mandalorian are the two that felt like must-watch programming. They felt like things that people had to download the app to check out because everybody was talking about it. So it's stuff like that that is definitely like informing the business decisions of other companies that like HBO Max that are kind of hoping that they can create some like events around certain things. So let's take a look at what is next for Disney in this announcement. Okay, so according to this article, the company is bringing roughly 10 Marvel series, 10 Star Wars series, 15 Disney live action, Disney animation, and Pixar series. So that's 10 or 15 for all three of those, and 15 all new Disney live action, Disney animation, and Pixar features to Disney Plus. That is a lot to announce, and I'm kind of surprised they're breaking it down in the numbers like this. It's kind of revealing in a way because you kind of get the sense early on in this announcement that they really want to get it across to people that a lot of content is coming. I'm certainly somebody who has been skeptical about how production is affected by the pandemic, how hard that makes it for the studios to be making things. And so this feels like a confidence boosting, like we are definitely going to be putting out regular stuff. Don't worry, don't cancel your Disney Plus. Everything going up like 10, 15, 10. It's a lot. Usually like with Disney, you see, D23, you see like those like map chart things they put up on the screen, and then it's like, yeah, this thing, this thing, this thing, logo, logo, logo. Maybe they do that for this as well. I'm just kind of reading the article here, but yeah, let's move on. So the commitment to launch, this again is TheVerge.com. The commitment to launch so many shows directly on Disney Plus speaks to Disney's confidence in the service in the long term. True. Disney announced that Raya and the Last Dragon will debut on Disney Plus as a premiere access title the same day it hits theaters on March 5th, 2021. Yeah, so they're for Raya the Last Dragon, which if you don't know is a new Disney animation. It's their latest one since, gosh, what was the last one? Frozen 2, probably, or I don't remember if there was one in between. But yeah, so Premiere Access was basically what they did with Mulan. Mulan costs like $30 on top of your Disney Plus subscription, and you only have to watch it for like a month or something like that. And a lot of people have been saying that that wasn't a very successful thing, but we don't really know based on the financial earnings. There is this sort of sense that the Mulan like rollout could have gone much better. Obviously, they were really hoping on making a lot of money, but I think kind of what hurt Mulan was a lot of the reviews weren't super great. And so I guess I'm not too surprised that they're going to try this again, especially if they saw like a lot of the numbers, early numbers on Soul, which is going to be hitting Disney Plus pretty soon, the next Pixar movie, Onward, which went straight to Disney Plus, and some in the inside community would argue that Disney Plus kind of saved Onward. Onward, it definitely did in the sense that people actually watched it. They wouldn't have watched it otherwise because coronavirus happened like right as that film was coming out. But other people have said that the film might not have actually had a really good box office run, even if, assuming everything was normal. There's some theory out there that that would have happened. I'm not 100% sure if that is the case. I don't know if I buy that, but who knows? Who really knows? And I think that Disney doesn't really know. So that's why they're probably trying this again. And, depending on how Raya and the Last Dragon rolls out, I could see it going either way for them, honestly. So yeah, it's March 5th, around the same time that Onward came out this past year, actually. Okay, so the article continues. The company dipped its toes in launching directly on Disney Plus with the premiere of the live-action remake of Mulan. Yeah, I already talked about that. Pixar Soul, already talked about that. The news also follows Warner Media's bombshell announcement that it would be bringing all of its 2021 films to HBO Max. Yeah, already talked about that. This article's got my number. Okay, Disney Plus launched just over a year ago, and it already has more than 86 million subscribers. Okay, so even more than I said 70 million. So it's even more than that. I think it was 70 million like the last time I checked, which was, gosh, maybe like not even a month ago. But yeah, a figure the company also announced on Thursday. So there you go. That growth has been in part fueled by the success of the mega hit, The Mandalorian, a series airing only on Disney Plus that is currently in its second season. Yeah, absolutely. So that's the end of the article. Not as much information as I was hoping for, but I know there's more information that I can grab. Yeah, Mandalorian. Holy cow! I think that the second season, first of all, being pretty good, and for being one of the few like water cooler shows, I think it might be the only water cooler show currently running right now. I mean, I don't really know of any other shows that people are reliably watching to the scale that you would expect. Not that I'm so yeah. That said, I'm not surprised that the subscription bump has gone up even more. I think that show really brings people in, and it's a good show. So all success to it. It's pretty deserved in my opinion. But let's see, if we can get some more details on this. So, and wow, ever since we actually started this stream, more stuff has trickled in, and I don't even know where to start. I gotta start with this. Hayden Christensen returning as Darth Vader in Obi-Wan Kenobi. I'm still on theverge.com. Production is going to start in March. That is fascinating. I don't know if any of you are aware, but there is an Obi-Wan Kenobi movie, right? to be like a Yoda movie, Obi-Wan movie. And then over time, people were kind of like, maybe not. And we've actually gotten confirmation that, first of all, like the Yoda thing, ostensibly, because there's also going to be like a Boba Fett thing, they kind of put it together. And there's like rumor that that's kind of how Mandalorian set up. Sure. But then also you have Obi-Wan, which I think we all agree, like ever since Solo came out, I think even like while Solo was being made, I think they figured it out. I think that they saw that an Obi-Wan show was a bad idea. And so that didn't happen. Or an Obi-Wan movie would be a bad idea, excuse me. For the same reason Solo just, I like Solo, but it definitely wasn't a box office hit. It definitely wasn't something, that people really came out to see because it's just such like a weird kind of spin-off thing. I think there, even Rogue One felt like at least a movie that like, I don't know if essential is the right word, but it felt like a cinematic like escape, whereas Solo felt like something kind of designed for like TV, but with a really good budget on the big screen, which, hey, again, I appreciated it. But anyway, Hayden Christensen coming back. That's interesting. So this here, he will reprise his role as Darth Vader in the Disney Plus series Obi-Wan Kenobi. This was announced by Kathleen Kennedy. Okay, so he's back. Ewan McGregor, we've known that he's coming back as well. Which, obviously it makes sense. This is set 10 years after the events of Star Wars Episode 3. That's makes sense. It's been 15 years since the movie came out, so the actors are going to age believably. So there you go. Although it is a little weird because it's Darth Vader, he wears the helmet and all of that. I'm not sure how Hayden Christensen factors into the character. Like, we've seen what Darth Vader looks like without his helmet on 10 years after this would be set, right? Because New Hope is 20 years, whatever. So kind of curious how that works. And if this feels a little bit of like a PR, is like, yeah, we put him in the suit. It's like, not like you're going to see Hayden Christensen unless they do some weird storytelling. Like I could make him maybe Flash, which again would be kind of weird because the actors have aged quite a bit. I don't know if that would really work. Who knows? Multiverse of madness. Why not? They're an alternate universe. Let's just go with that. But okay. Moving on. And again, I don't even know where to start. And the whole point of this is that we're going to be talking about streaming. Oh my gosh. Okay, so here's another announcement that just dropped. Star Wars Andor, which stars Rogue One's, just talked about Rogue One, stars Diego Luna. And that's coming to Disney Plus in 2022. This just started production. This is fascinating. So a show set around the captain character in Rogue One. Say what you want about Rogue One. I know a lot of people are big fans. I wasn't the biggest fan of it, but I did think Cassian Andor was like kind of an interesting character. He has like an interesting moment when you get to know him. He's like the rebel who would murder just to, get what, he wants for the rebellion. It was kind of an interesting thing. I think the big flaw with Rogue One was just that we didn't have enough time to really explore who these characters really are, besides all these like flash pan movements that, I don't know, felt kind of weird out of context. Man, it's a shame because it's an incredible cast. Like every time I look at the cast for Rogue, it's pretty wild. But yeah, more Diego Luna. I'm 100%. I'm in. Yeah, we know how he dies, but who cares? Any sort of like rebellion espionage thing, that's exciting. That's different. It's different Star Wars, something that could avoid like the trap of just showing a bunch of Jedi stuff. And I think we have to remember, if that doesn't sound interesting to you and you're like, well, I don't care about that character. People said the same thing about the Mandalorian. It's like, well, Mandalorian, who cares about this like Boba Fett looking dude? The whole point of like these Star Wars shows is that they kind of reel you in with like a character, I guess, but then they introduce other things. It's all about like who you build it around. It's kind of like with Black Widow. I mean, a Black Widow movie to me always sounded like, okay, that's going to be hard to nail because Black Widow is not exactly the kind of character that like in the comics always like was really like a lead. I mean, there were really great Black Widow comics and where she led her stories, but what I hope that the movie is going to capture, and what I would hope this project captures, is the ensemble piece of it. Not even ensemble, but just like when you bring other characters to interact with this established character, things get really interesting. So that's my take on that. So, okay, Star Wars Andor. Don't know much about it. 12 episodes in the season. Sure. Okay. And oh yeah, and there is a trailer. So I'm going to just press on that. I don't have any sound for this, but I wish I could show it to you all. But yeah, It doesn't look like this is revealing much. This looks like Rogue One footage. So yeah, that's kind of be expected. I'll let all you take a look for yourselves. This looks kind of just like a production reel sort of thing. Okay, so that is Star Wars Andor. What else do we got, Disney? Oh boy, Disney moves live action Pinocchio, Peter Pan, and Wendy to Disney Plus. I actually did already hear about this a while ago. It might have been some rumors from Diz Insider, so I don't want to harp on that too much. And then that's not a big surprise. I think Disney has already sort of been kind of figuring out which of their remakes are big budget box office sort of remakes that need to go to theaters, like Beauty and the Beast and Mulan and stuff like that. And then you have these other ones like Dumbo, like Pete's Dragon. Those are the ones that they didn't do super great at the box office, but they were fun to watch. They were interesting, they were unique, and they kind of belong in some ways on a place like Disney Plus. Even though I would prefer to see them in the theater first, I like the theatrical experience. It makes sense, just from a business perspective. So this is one of the earlier announcements: Star Wars Lando, a event series coming to Disney Plus. And okay, I'm ready to look at that. Star Wars Lando. We've kind of had a feeling that there would be like a Lando Calrissian thing ever since Rise of Skywalker came out, and they basically teased it. So this is not a huge surprise. But here is a surprise. I did not know this. This is going to be from Dear White People creator Justin Simien. I am a fan of Justin Simien. Dear White People, I really liked the movie. I liked the show even more, the show on Netflix. I didn't love his latest movie, Bad Hair. I watched that one at Sundance, and I don't know. It was really interesting. I liked the idea behind it. The performances were really solid, but man, that was a weird horror movie. I didn't find myself really gravitating toward it. I know some people who like the edited version. There's a version that they like really clean up the ending a little bit, which might make it better in that way. But yeah, I haven't seen that new version. But okay, Justin Simien, he's going to be doing this one. And it looks like he's creating the show, which that's pretty huge for him. Congratulations. That's job well done on his part. He's done good work, and he definitely deserves something like this, the responsibility that it'll entail. But okay, it says here the project is still in early stages of development, so we don't even know it's probably going to be like in production. Lucasfilm has yet to provide nearly any details on the project, including whether or not either Billy D. Williams or Donald Glover, who have played the character in other live-action Star Wars installments, are attached to the project. That's interesting. I mean, my immediate reaction to this was that it would be Billy D. Williams, just because of how Rise of Skywalker kind of treats that character at the very end with that other character I forget the name of, and they're like going to go on an adventure or something. But a Lando show, I mean, I'll be honest, I kind of would rather see a Lando show with Donald Glover. I mean, no disrespect to Billy D., but those are some stories that I think are ripe for really interesting, just like avenues, like different. There's so many stories you could tell about Lando Calrissian in the Age of the Rebellion and the Empire, like what he was up to during the events of New Hope, for example, and then, of course before that. So yeah, I'm for this. I like the idea. It would be kind of cool. I think it probably would be way before the prequel trilogy, or not the prequel trilogy, the original trilogy, just because Donald Glover is still relatively young. I mean, I guess he's not that. Actually, now that I think about it, he's not far at all from Billy D. Williams' age when he made Star Wars, when he was in Empire Strikes Back. So I take that back. Donald Glover could do whatever, any time period. Let's do it. Okay, so that's Star Wars Lando. What else we got? Come on, Disney. I'm not done. I want more content. Yeah, I'm kind of glancing through the headlines here. I'm seeing some of the ones we looked at already. Okay, here we go. So this is actually the first thing I saw. So I'm glad we're moving on to this. This is a huge announcement. I mean, when I saw this, my eyes glared wide. Disney Plus is getting 2 new Mandalorian spin-offs, Rangers of the New Republic and Ahsoka. So that should strike excitement into the hearts of anybody who is watching / listening. So, okay, Rangers of the New Republic and Ahsoka. These are both going to be crossing over with The Mandalorian. So according to this article, again, this is on TheVerge.com, Lucasfilm has announced 2 new Star Wars TV shows, Star Wars Rangers of the New Republic and Star Wars Ahsoka, both of which will be spinoffs from The Mandalorian. So if you've been paying attention to The Mandalorian, you've probably noticed what I think is pretty obvious, which is that they are absolutely like setting up like new shows with some of these episodes. I'm not going to spoil the Mandalorian or anything beyond what I have to kind of mention with the Ahsoka thing, but I'm not going to get into any plot details. I'll just say is that there have been a few episodes in the second season that have really felt like they're designed to launch new shows. And that's not really a criticism, to be honest. I mean, I think that with the Rangers of the New Republic thing, that was a little bit more subtle. That was something that I kind of like thought of, but I wasn't like, this is designed primarily to. No, I was just kind of like, oh, if they were going to do a show, that is a good launching off point for the idea of like what the New Republic is up to in the Outer Rim. Okay, sure. And the Ahsoka thing was sneaky because I remember like watching that episode and thinking like she was going to be, again, I can't go into plot details, but thinking there's a bigger story there that they're not getting into. And I was confused of like if she's going to factor into more Mandalorian content. And this kind of confirms for us that no, that's not going to be the case. Ahsoka is going to go off and do her own thing. And I think honestly, we're better for it. I think that the Ahsoka character in some ways like nerfs the Mandalorian franchise a little bit. She's a really powerful character. And I think like what I think the charms of the Mandalorian are in its Western vibe, are in the fact that we don't have like a preponderance of Jedi just kind of going in and out and taking care of business. I think that there's room for that in other Star Wars things, mainly the movies. I don't think that that is the best like thing to really dwell on the Mandalorian. I like the more mysterious aspect of it, the idea like the way that Grogu is kind of like not really a powerful like Jedi, he's just not even a Padawan. He's just a youngling essentially, and he has these cool like force powers, and it's more mysterious. And that's the Star Wars that I like, when it's pretty subtle like that. But okay, so let's go through these announcements. So they released 2 images. The Rangers of the New Republic one looks kind of like, it's like the Top Gun kind of thing. Like, I think that's what they're going for, is it's kind of like these are hot shot New Republic, soon to be like the Poe Damerons of this like universe. I wouldn't be surprised if this is what Wedge Antilles has been kind of added to. Some of the Rogue Squadron folks, and kind of seeing their adventures post Return of the Jedi. So I love the idea. I really do. Like a whole show centered around the pilots of Star Wars is, I won't say genius. I'll say that it's just brilliant, because same thing. Fine, I won't even say brilliant. I'll say that it's just really smart. That is an avenue that Star Wars has not done enough of. It really hasn't. And there's such a huge fan base in the Star Wars fandom. There's such a huge passion for the pilots, because it's really how the movies started off. Let's not forget that New Hope, the climax of that isn't a lightsaber duel. It's kind of what we've gotten used to at this point. But no, I mean, the climax of the first Star Wars is the like dogfights in space. And yeah, I like this. I definitely hope that these Rangers, which I hope is kind of like combining the pilots thing with like maybe these like New Republic just like warfighters or whatever. I'm kind of assuming that these are pilots. I don't know if I could be like wildly off base there. Actually, it could be something totally different. But I mean, think about it. I really don't think that this is supposed to be like just like guerrilla troops or something like that. That wouldn't really make sense for what we know about the New Republic so far in the new canon. So, okay, do we have any other information on this? Okay, 2 shows. There are 2 shows that will cross over with future seasons of The Mandalorian and culminate in a climactic story event. Okay, spoiler, I guess. They're trying to do basically the Marvel Cinematic Universe thing, but like a Star Wars TV universe thing, which, cool. I guess you could compare it more closely to something like the CW, the way that they like crossed over The Flash and Legends of Tomorrow, Arrow, etc. Disney has yet to reveal much information on the 2 new projects, but Rosario Dawson is set to return to reprise her role as a live-action Ahsoka Tano. I think she did a really great job too, and there were a lot of people questioning, like, well, why didn't the voice actress for Ahsoka in the Rebels and Clone Wars shows, why didn't they just have her like dub over? And I remember that being kind of like a little bit of a silly question. It's like, well, it's live action; it would look weird. And then this kind of even adds more to that, being like, well, they can't do that for just an entire show. Just let Rosario Dawson do it. I think she was great. I guess I'd say that it's coming from a place of not being like a huge like watcher of Clone Wars and Rebels. I've seen episodes. I've just, I never super got into it. So I can't say that I'm a super fan or that I'm like an Ahsoka stan or whatever. But from what I've seen, I really like the Ahsoka character. And one of these days I'll get through all Clone Wars. But if I'm being perfectly honest, I'm much more interested in this like live action telling of it. One of the reasons that I've taken so long to get through Clone Wars is because the animation just really irks me. I don't know, it just looks very unappealing, and the Clone Wars style, like I'm still in like the first seasons of Clone Wars, and it's just, I don't know, it's like this weird cheesy like, like kids, like, baby's first war kind of thing. And I'm just like, what the heck? I know that it gets way more mature and interesting later on. That's what I've been told, and I trust that information. But I'm just a little like, it's like I gotta sit through so much to get to the good stuff. Come on. And I don't want to skip anything. I'm very difficult. But I do really like the prospect of watching this show. I will commit to watching all of Clone Wars and as much Rebels as I can before I check out this live action show, which looks like I'll have time. Looks like we have more info on when it'll be coming out. Let's see, Disney has yet to say when exactly to expect either Rangers of the New Republic or Ahsoka, but teased that the next chapter of the story will debut Christmas 2021. That's confusing because you would assume Mandalorian would be coming out before that, so maybe that's what they're talking about, that the crossover is going to be what launches one or both of these shows. So that's my guess for now. And this kind of gives a run off of all the other shows that we talked about, actually. Star Wars Andor, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Star Wars Lando. There's another one called The Acolyte, and there's a spin-off called The Bad Batch, a spin-off of the animated Clone Wars, and an anime anthology called Star Wars Visions. I don't know anything about these, and the article gives no extra information on that, so boo. I want more info. Oh, man. All right, been streaming for about 26 minutes, and we haven't gotten to one of the main things that I wanted to cover here, which is kind of it's in the title, right? It's the idea of what streaming is going to be looking like with Disney. I know there's information on that. I probably have to go to a different website before I move away from The Verge, which, I guess I don't have to because I'm actually seeing some of The Verge stuff here. So I will talk about that in a sec. But first, another thing dropped while we were streaming, Wonder Woman 1984's Patty Jenkins, wonderful director, is directing the next Star Wars movie, Rogue Squadron. What? Rogue Squadron is I was about to say it's the video game. There's like a new fit game out called Squadrons or whatever. I don't know how to react to this except with glee. So it says here this is going to be released in December 2023, so 3 years from now. Patty Jenkins directing a Star Wars movie centered around Rogue Squadron. Why? It's weird because I feel like I should be like losing my mind. I love the Rogue Squadron game, the N64 one. Oh yeah, this is gonna hopefully have Wedge Antilles in it, but we don't know, huh? We have no other details about the project. Got it. But this is interesting. Is this the only Star Wars movie we know about that's coming next? This isn't a Disney Plus thing, of course. I'm just really curious. Yeah. Are there any other movies? Go to the chat if I'm forgetting anything. But I really can't think of any other Star Wars movies. Star Wars stories. That was such a terrible title. But okay, so those are the big Star Wars announcements. Probably some more coming. Who knows? But okay, let's talk about the stream stuff. So one of the first things that they announced today was that, and I did see this, Disney has unveiled something called Star, which is a Hulu replacement for Disney Plus subscribers who don't live in the US. So this doesn't really apply to any US people. We just have Hulu, but apparently Star, okay, I was wondering this because Hulu is not something that is like as easily international as I think Disney Plus, I guess, is or is primed to be. And there was like a big question of like, what is Disney going to do with Hulu? And it looks like they're just Hulu and this thing called Star are going to exist because I did see this other news. They're going to exist as like the streaming service for more mid-size adult entertainment. So that's where they're going to be putting Searchlight stuff. That's going to be where they're putting like formerly 20th Century Fox, now 20th Century Studios movies on. So not necessarily like your X-Men and stuff like that, but more so, I mean, they might put that stuff on there anyway, but more so things that like Fox would make, like, Ford versus Ferrari. Was that Fox? I actually can't remember. But, there's stuff like that, like A Star is Born, like your movies that like might be like big box office things like during Oscar season, Bohemian Rhapsody, stuff like that. So it sounds like Hulu is going to be where they do that. And you know what? Hulu, I will say, has had such a good year. I think that in my eyes, at least, I have seen such an improvement of the way like Hulu is being, received by pop culture. It used to be that when people would be like, there's a movie on Hulu, we'd laugh at them, we would throw things and bully them essentially. But now, like after like Palm Springs and after Run, I'm blanking on a couple of the other ones. There's just been like things that have come out on Hulu that I've just been like really liking, that have been really good projects and that people are actually watching. And it's not like Hulu has had a bad reputation for original content. I think like they've put out shows that people like, difficult people, casual, what have you. But no, I can't really think of a year where they've had like had a better year for movies. And so I can see why Disney wants to hold on to them. But this is some big news. Got to bring this up. So again, this is on theverge.com. Disney's new bundle will offer ad-free Hulu, Disney Plus, and ESPN Plus for $18.99. So that's interesting. This is coming in January. I already have. Okay, so this is something I'm confused about. The way the headline is structured, it makes it sound like there's an ad version of Disney Plus because it says ad free and then three things, which kind of implies the adjective applies to. So it's like saying ad free Disney Plus, ad free ESPN Plus. I don't think that's the case. I think it's just Hulu. That's really cool though, because as somebody who has Disney Plus and Hulu, because my life is content and entertainment. What was me? That is really interesting because I like Hulu a lot. One of the things that prevents me from using Hulu more than I usually would is the ads. I hate the ads on Hulu. They're very repetitive, they are frequent, and it's just annoying because sometimes I'm watching something and I want to go back. I want to rewatch something and I can't without like triggering a bunch of like 30-second, minute and a half ads. It's super annoying. First world problems, I know. But yeah, so this is a $6 increase over the existing bundle, which is what I have, $12.99. So this is pretty tempting. I might consider this. $6 a month is pretty steep. I really would have to like revisit the Hulu catalog to justify it. Because I guess like at least not right now, there aren't a ton of things I watch. I used to watch a lot of things on Hulu. Hulu used to be where I watched like Community. It used to be where I kept up with Superstore, but Community's on Netflix now. Superstore is on Peacock. So I struggle a little bit to like, you know, remember what I watched on Hulu. Like even things like I would watch like Kitchen Nightmares, like Gordon Ramsay stuff. I would watch that on Hulu, but now I can watch all that stuff on like YouTube. So I might have to revisit. That would be a shame because I do like the movies on there. I don't think the movies have a ton of ads, but hopefully that doesn't deter anybody else. Hopefully I got some big Hulu fans checking this out because I'm not going to say I support Hulu. They're owned by like a corporation with like millions and billions. Like I don't care. But okay, so moving on. Is there anything else? Not really. Just kind of talking about how the bundle works. So yeah, there you go. This is interesting though because I don't see an article on here about the other news that would have more details on how like Hulu is going to be showing all that other content. I don't know if The Verge just hasn't covered that yet. So I'm going to switch over to a different website. I'm going to switch over to, I should have done this website to begin with, Diz Insider. So I don't know if any of you heard of the Diz Insider. This is like the Disney Insider website. And its founder, editor-in-chief is a friend of mine, Skylar Schuler. So I should be supporting him always. Skylar, if someone forwards this to you, tells you what I did wrong, just tell them, I didn't mean it. I'm sorry. Okay. A lot of breaking news on here. Yeah, so like one of the first things, Star Wars, the entire slate announced at Disney's Investor Day. Oh man, so much better coverage on the Diz Insider. I got my chart that I was talking about earlier that I said wasn't there. I don't know if this is just breaking too, and they haven't even like put it up yet. But yeah, so I wish I could show this to y'all. I'm gonna get my setup here for you eventually. But I'm seeing a ton of stuff. I'm seeing, let's see, Star Wars: A Droid Story. Pass. I'll watch a trailer, or whatever. I'm just being mean. There's the Acolyte thing, which got I mentioned before, Andor, Obi-Wan, all that stuff. Willow. This is supposed to be Star Wars. Ron Howard is making Willow again. No, so Willow, if I'm recalling correctly, is one of the Ewoks for Return of the Jedi, right? So there's going to be an Ewok thing, maybe. I could be totally wrong about that. Something called Star Wars Visions. I have no idea what that is. Bad Batch, which I mentioned earlier. Children of Blood and Bone. Indiana Jones. Okay, some of these things can't be Star Wars. Indiana Jones is not Star Wars. This is like fan made. This is probably fan made. I can't really buy this. Okay, let's see. Star Wars Visions. Oh no, I did mention this. This was the anime series brought up earlier. So yeah, there's gonna be a Star Wars anime. Which, as a fan of like the Genndy Tartakovsky stuff that Clone Wars was in its like earliest iterations, I am super into that. Not gonna lie. Okay, let's see. The Calrissian thing, which we already talked about. Oh no, I'm not seeing any more information for like Willow and all that. I wonder if I just like missed it while I was like skimming. No, I'm not seeing anything. I'm so bummed. I'm so curious, like what some of this stuff is. I guess, you know what? Let the journalists do their thing, John. Give them a minute. The investor day is still going on. But okay, so yeah, so I'm seeing some more articles kind of tying into the Rey and the Last Dragon, the Disney Plus Star thing that Hulu is going to be. I don't see anything about the 20th Century Fox thing. Yeah, I don't see that. What a shame. I guess that news is still breaking, so I'll have to leave it at that. But no, I mean, again, that's the news that I've heard is that Hulu's going to be showing like 20th century stuff, and I'm sure I could go on like Twitter or something, and I could just basically look at Skylar Schuler's thing. In fact, oh my gosh, while we're talking, I oh, hold on, there's like a coronavirus thing. It's like taking my phone. Heck. So Charlie originally just messaged me on Twitter. So sorry, Charlie, I'm airing our private messages. I won't show it. Okay, I'll show it. I didn't even hold it up to the camera. Okay, so Domi Shi movie finally. So Charlie knows something I don't. So we're gonna have a little bit of fun. If you don't know Charlie, Charlie's a writer for comicbook.com. So I'm gonna say, hey Charlie, streaming live about these announcements. What about Domi Shi? So okay, if you don't know who Domi Shi is and why Charlie would be telling me about this, he knows I'm a big fan. It's because Domi Shi is the director of one of the next Pixar movies. In fact, I think it might be the next Pixar movie, if I'm mistaken. He actually directed Bao, which was the thing, the short with Incredibles 2. And I'm just going to say I really love that short. The music by Toby Chu is really good, and I thought she really killed it. I'm not surprised at all that they went ahead and got her set up with a movie because I'm sure she has tons of great movies ideas. Okay, so movies, and thank you, Charlie. And there's a Buzz Lightyear movie about the real spaceman with Chris Evans as Buzz. What? Man, so I gotta. Oh my goodness. Charlie knows we're live. What I texted is like exactly that. Okay, I'm gonna read that again because yes, Domi Shi, super excited about that. I'm gonna Google it in a second, but there's a Buzz Lightyear movie about the real spaceman with Chris Evans as Buzz. That is the best idea I've heard in a general. Um, First of all, so glad they didn't go with Tim Allen because forget that. I get it. The voice would have been really cool, but no thanks. Chris Evans though, doing like a space thing within like the Pixar thing, yeah, genius. That is genius. That is brilliant. Whoever decided that deserves a raise. Okay, so Domi Shi, what is her movie? I want to know. We really haven't known like any like details about it. Actually, that's not true. There was some stuff that came out about the movie, and I'm super blanking on news about it. We did know some things about it. Let's see here. Bao director Domi Shi is developing a feature film Pixar. Yeah, we know. This is news from like 2018. Second female feature director at Pixar. Yep. If I hit the news tab. Fun fact: I did see Domi Shi once live. I can brag about that. Sure. That was back when Bao had not come out that much long ago. If I'm not mistaken. Yeah. I went to this short festival fun. They shared a bunch of Pixar shorts, and it was one of the first dates I actually went on with my now fiance. So holler to that. And I think that was the first place I ever hold her hand. Oh. And Domishi was there. She supported the relationship. She was very much in favor of it. She got up and she talked about Bao, and like I saw her in person. And yeah, I live in the Bay Area, so like it's not that crazy. Like Emeryville's not far from here. We're basically neighbors. But Domishi, she is like the future of Pixar. I think that her brand, like weird offbeat storytelling, is genius. I'm gonna tell you right now. I googled Domishi, but I don't see any details. Help me out. I'm still live and reading all of this out loud to the audience. No pressure. He's already typing too. Charlie's a mensch, by the way. And I'm so excited because as soon as I get my setup figured out, where like this isn't going to be this anymore, the audio is going to be way better, and we're going to have like actual streaming things, like you can see the screen and like basics. Once that happens, Charlie is going to be one of the first people that I want to have on as much as possible. I want to have him streaming even if it's against his will. He doesn't know that yet. Said it's about a girl that turns into a panda when she's exciting. Sorry, no. What? A girl that turns into a panda? Okay, that's fine actually. It's fine as long as it's not a brave thing or a brother bear or like where somebody accidentally turns into an animal and like they've got to do a thing. Please God, no. I am so sick of the turning into an animal thing. It's not fun. It's not fun. Princess and the Frog, I like a lot of things about that movie. You know the thing I don't like about Princess and the Frog? They turn into frogs. It's just dumb. Like it's not fun. And movies keep doing it because that's wacky, kids. Did you see that? Could you imagine turning into an animal? No, thanks. But turning into a panda when she's excited. Domishi is very interesting. See, this is what I mean. She marches to the beat of her own Pixar drum. So I respect her for that. Charlie's not giving me any more information, but I am taking advantage. I should be a little bit more. I gotta do this on my own here. So let's go on the old Twitter machine. Let's see what else we know about all of this stuff. So I'm gonna go to Skylar Schuler's Twitter feed because Skylar, of course, is keeping up with all of this. And I got to say that, again and again and again and again, that he knows his stuff and you should follow him on Twitter. Oh, wow. So this is as of 9 minutes ago. A Cars series has officially been announced, like the Pixar Cars movies. The pushback I caught on this was insane, Skylar said. Oh yeah, because I think Skylar called this, and people didn't believe him. I think that's what he's talking about. Okay, and then this is funny. He makes a very good observation that this investors meeting feels kind of like a mini D23. I mentioned D23 earlier, and yeah, it does kind of feel like that. I wasn't expecting this much news. I was expecting like we were going to find out like, okay, Disney Plus subscriber numbers. We were going to find out like some of the movies that are going to come out like maybe like next year, but this is like a hype event, like full on. So there you go. Encanto, which is like the new Pixar movie, or not Pixar, geez Louise, the new Disney movie got announced today as well. I mean, we knew it was coming. I know that Skylar had the scoop on that. So yeah, that's going to be like after Raya and the Last Dragon. It's going to be the next Disney animation thing. So that looks pretty fun. Oh, here we go. Disney is having a live action Chippendale Rescue Rangers thing. It's like it'll be a show, I guess. Oh yeah, we got some more details on the Night at the Museum. They're doing like an animated movie version of that. So, and yeah, there's going to be an Alien series for FX. I guess that's going to come to Hulu. That's interesting. Yeah, so there's a bunch of like extra stuff here. I'm a little perturbed that the news is still dropping and I'm still on here and I can't just keep streaming. But oh yeah, here is confirmation that Hulu is going to develop and premiere movies from 20th Century and Searchlight Studios. I talked about this earlier, but I think that it makes sense for Disney to have like an equivalent of Hulu overseas. I think My guess there is the reason that they're not calling it Hulu is because they're probably making it a totally different like streaming service. Like totally, like it's probably not going to be like Hulu. It's probably going to be like a different thing just for like international people, like their own thing. I also wonder if like Hulu, like the name of it, is something they're concerned about. I don't really know. I know that there's also contracts and licenses. There's all kinds of reasons that they can't just have like Hulu in other countries. I think that a lot of people who watch the movie industry really underestimate the limitations of releasing and launching things overseas. It's extremely expensive. It is extremely time consuming to make sure that the product that you are bringing to other people fits their needs and is scalable and is not going to create debt. So you really can't, you really have to understand like why stuff like this is so difficult. Why is HBO Max taking so long to be in other countries? It really isn't a simple thing. It's something that takes a lot of manpower. It's something that you would hope that is gradual so that the streaming service doesn't implode upon itself like a restaurant franchise that like creates too many restaurants too fast and doesn't manage them correctly and then eventually creates so much debt that they shut down. Same thing happens with products. And so I, you know, I have no qualms whatsoever about this like thing called Star, except of it is like generic, and I don't understand why you can't call it anything else. But whatever. I think a lot of us did see this coming that Disney and Hulu would, if they were going to remain like themselves and still be a thing, albeit separately, that Hulu would be the place for things that just don't fit the vibe of Disney Plus. Now, I do have a thought on that. Disney Plus itself is very specific, right? It's very specific to like the Disney brand, which is something more evocative of the parks. It's like a thing where you go to the parks and it's like wishes come true, an adventure. That's the reason things like Star Wars, Marvel, Pixar, and the animated movies all fit into Disney really well. Even things in like the Disney Channel kind of ascribe to all of those things and even like mix them up sometimes. Something like Secret Society of Second Born Royals is something that was designed, it was engineered to be like a cross thing between like the Marvel and like Disney aesthetic, like the Disney Channel aesthetic. But then when you have other things that don't fit the Disney bill, it's really noticeable. For example, if you go to the park, would you feel a little like awkward if there was like a New Mutants thing? Would you feel like if there was like an alien exhibit, like an alien ride at Disney, it'd be like, this feels kind of, I don't know. So I understand why it's the same thing they do with the parks. You don't have the same things in like Disney Hollywood studios that you have in the Magic Kingdom. They fragment it out because they understand that human beings are very complicated and marketing to them is complicated. And it's easier to create a streaming service like Hulu that has Alien, that has like, you know, your more like specific mature things. Even something like Lizzie McGuire, right? Which Lizzie McGuire is something that I definitely wish would be on Disney Plus, but clearly they want to make it more mature. And so if they do save that thing and it comes out on Hulu, yeah, I take back what I said earlier. I will get the version, the ad-free Hulu bundle, whatever. I'll do it for Lizzie McGuire. I'd do anything. Um, so Cinemaholic Sam Nolan is in the chat. He says, I want my Fant Four Stick roller coaster. Well, too bad. It's not going to happen. I know there's going to be a Fantastic Four thing eventually, but more and more I see Fantastic Four as something that might start out as a show, as a streaming thing. Honestly, and it's so wild because imagine if they were like planning out something like the Eternals right now. Do you think Eternals would get like a box office movie kind of thing? I honestly don't know. I don't know if, imagine if like they hadn't done Guardians of the Galaxy yet. Guardians of the Galaxy, for all intents and purposes, they would look at and be like, let's just put it on Disney Plus. And who knows if people would like watch it. So I'm doing a bunch of weird hypotheticals. It's not super fair, but my goodness, I do worry sometimes about how like smaller things that could go to the box office and be discovered by like everybody at the same time might get a little bit buried because they're not like IP driven in the way that like Mandalorian is. So Sam says very slow and uneventful and ultimately disappointing, but not even it. So he's talking about the Fan Four Stick roller coaster. Very, very pointed, Sam. Welcome to the live stream, Sam. There's a bunch of us here, dozens upon hundreds and thousands. You just can't see them because it like glitched out earlier and like obviously, right? That's all the Disney news. That's everything that's come out that I can cover here. I guess like one of my takeaways is that honestly, what I said before, I think that Disney, in the same way HBO Max is leaning hard on their streaming service. They really are looking at this thing becoming just like a huge revenue booster. And anybody who loves the theatrical model should be concerned. It is super possible to love the theatrical model and to love the streaming service model. I think, yes, there is a place for both. But I think a lot of us have to accept that we are moving toward a destination where theaters are going to be far more niche and more expensive and more for like the privileged than they are right now. Right now, there's something that's like everybody goes to the movies at some point in the year. It's something like it's a big event. If a big movie comes out, I think that's going to slowly go away in terms of like the event movie. We're still going to have movies that people wait in line for, but I think a lot of those movies are going to go to streaming and then like directly, and theaters will just be an option depending on where you live. And I don't like that, but I can't resist change too much. I turned 30 earlier this year, and I had one of those realizations that, my time in like the youth, like the mega youth spotlight is done. I'm not as young as I used to be. I'm still pretty young, but I kind of have to start looking at the world in a bit more of a from a more rational perspective, which is that those aren't for me anymore necessarily. I do have disposable income. Things are kind of made for me, but in terms of things that have like long-term pop culture value, they're not really being made with people like me in mind necessarily. They're being made with like the TikTok kids and like the younger people who have different tastes and they like different things. And I just hope that we share some tastes too. I find it hard sometimes when I look at some of the new things that come out that are on HBO Max, like an Infinity Train. I really want to watch Infinity Train. And what's kept me from, because I've only seen one episode and it was like when it was years and years and years ago. I think it was like 4 years ago when they were first like announcing the idea of it. And they had like a test episode. And I watched it and I was like really into it. And now, like 4 years later, I'm like, I don't know if I want to watch that. It was like the thing I was talking about with Clone Wars earlier, where I feel like I'm getting too old for stuff. And I know some people might be like, John, you said you're 30. Like people go through what you're going through at age 15. And I'm like, yeah, I know. But I was a weird 15-year-old. Okay. What can I tell you? Drake 15 and still do. But no, I think that, yeah, it's taken me a little bit longer to sort of like grapple with that some of the things I watch I'm way too old for, but I hope that I'm able to appreciate those things anyway. So I guess on this weird conversation about Disney and Star Wars and all these services and new shows, I will end with checking out Infinity Train, a Cartoon Network thing. I don't feel bad about that. Anyway, thank you for watching, all of you. Not a ton of people watched, obviously, but I saw the numbers like stay pretty steady. So cool. I saw only like one or two people like drop off, which that tells you how many people were watching. Okay. But this was a lot of fun. I really do like doing the streaming thing. I hope I can get the word out. I hope I can get the setup up to par. It really is pretty difficult, but I really enjoy this like whole deal. I think it's a lot of fun. So yeah, suggestions, feedback, anything like that, hit it up in the comments. I am going to sign off for now. Thanks. And stream. Yes, end. Let's do it.